I dealt with guilt, some life choices, some life decisions, some life experiences. So I was just like, all right, God, I can't carry this no more.
It has been my goal to bring you different audiences, people who have come from different walks of life, so that you can hear everybody's story as it relates to mental health. Because whether we openly struggle with it or not, I think everybody has their own dealings with it. And so today we are joined by Larry, the phenomenal, incomparable musician. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Well, thank you for coming. Listen, I'm gonna just jump right in because I feel like we've had some very transparent conversations recently. I think we've worked together a few times now in ways that we have never before. Talk to me about specifically the faith-based community. How can they support their musicians, their praise team members, their artists, as it relates to their mental health? Or do they even know that they should support you?
I think now, because mental health is such a big thing, it was, we didn't talk about it as I'm sure you have shared and many people haven't shared in our culture, especially in the Black African-American church. It wasn't a thing. So now you got even pastors who are now saying like, yo, wait, no. Y'all are drying me. You're tapping me. And so I think the churches are now more open to it. They're not just open to it, they're more aware of what's going on. But there's still I think the word is taboo. It's still a taboo thing. Like, they're still like, well, at what cost, right? Now they get into now they're actually paying us a decent salary. So the expectation goes up more. And so we are able to now take off. That used to be a big thing, but now it's like, it's not such a hard issue to say, hey, I need to take a couple weeks off here and there. So it's now more accepted. But it also depends on the leadership that you have in the church and who respects. Like, you find those who who have families and they respect the fact that your family does come first, and that is supposed to be your first ministry. Yeah.
I worked for a church previously, and I guess my biggest struggle is being faith-based, but then also running it like a business, right? So we very much run our churches like corporations. So if we're going to do that, pick one is kind of where I'm coming from, because in corporate America, there are legislation, there's laws, there's policies, there's procedures, there's things we have to follow that have nothing to do with your personal life. In our faith-based communities, we tie our personal life into the policy. So talk to me about what you think the faith-based community can do to better support their musicians and their praise team members and members of their staff as it relates to mental health.
Well, as it relates to mental health, I think we're doing a better job than what we used to do. It almost gave it used to be like pay for hire, like you do as I say, and now they're learning like, hey, our mental health, it's really important, even how we show up. Y'all want us to give our best, but you're tapping us and you're draining us. So they even have cut down on the number of services or the number of activities. But it should not cut down on the quality of. But now that we even, which we have been experiencing the last few years, pastors are taking sabbaticals. And so, I remember when it first happened, it was a shock in the African-American church. But if you look on the other ethnicities and their churches, their pastors are actually mandated to take sabbaticals, because it keeps you fresh. It allows you to even be poured into. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Us as musicians, they want us to work it, but they also want us to be poured in at the same time. And that I don't know how you do that if we continue to work and work and work and work. You got to serve and you got to serve. But we never get fed. We never get poured into. There's never an opportunity for us to be poured into. So I think that's how the church can continue to help us, is when we say, hey, I'm going to take a week, or I'm going to take 2 weeks, and that should be okay. I shouldn't feel like I'm wrong for wanting to take that time for myself, which is needed. So, yeah.
I like it. So you are known for being not just a musician, but a songwriter. Talk to me about where you go to when you write a song. I mean, mentally, emotionally, like where do you pull from when you're going into the lab and you're like, I'm writing a song today? What inspires you to do so?
I speak from experience. I always write from experience. Well, sometimes I don't even write from experience because the song, All Things Working, I hadn't gone through the season yet, but it actually was birthed for a season that I was even going to come to in my own right. And I didn't know it at the time. It was just like this song that I just heard. And it was very random. And I just went and I got a guitar. So sometimes sometimes it does come from a dark place and a dark space. I was really talking about the church, in my opinion, the church, we don't like to talk about depression. We don't like to talk about, it being dark and cloudy and I'm having a hard time. But if we look through the Psalms, that's what David's saying and talked about all the time. So for me to I think the problem is there's not a place for those kinds of songs even in our worship experiences. Where do we put those? Where do we put those songs that are in a minor key? And for those who don't know, when you hear minor keys, you think dark, gloomy. So where do those songs? Where do we place those songs? Where am I able to, other than in my own secret time to God, where are we able to sing this out loud that actually might help someone out there be like, you know what? I feel the same exact way, but I think it's also important to say, like David will always say, but God is still good. God is still great. He's still this and he's still that, even though I feel this way. So as a writer, it could be in any season, but I think it's for me it's to be honest. It's always supposed to come from an honest place, a place from experience, because I don't want to talk about and sing about what somebody else has gone through and done. That's not my experience, but I can sing on this part of it, or I can write from this place. I always tell people that I'm a messenger. Hey, continue to message on. If you don't mind, let's keep this message going. What's the message? The love of God.
It's crazy that you mentioned that because all things do work together. I was just recently listening to a podcast where the host said we do not read like Lamentations enough and make songs out of
songs
books,
yep.
of lament and grief, because those things are natural for us. We do really good at praise. We really do really good at worship, but we do not do good at really being like, God, I'm pouring my heart out to you because of this grief or because I'm mourning. So I love that. Specifically, He Won't Fail. I remember when that song came out, it was in my spirit so hard. Like I could not get it out of my spirit. And then a week later, Myron died. And I was like, that song, that is why it was in my spirit, because it hadn't happened yet. But when it did, it was like for the season, it was for the moment. So I love that. My last question, like, where do you see yourself as a musician, as a praise and worship leader, as an artist in general? Because I don't want to pigeonhole you to just worship, because you do other things. So like, where do you see your life going in terms of music in the next 5 years?
Girl, I don't know. That's where I'm praying now, because I know I need to release stuff. There are times where you're going through so many different things. And I know, since we talk about mental health, I dealt with guilt really, really bad. Some life choices, some life decisions, some life experiences have happened the last couple of years. And I felt like, man, I felt guilty, or I was carrying this burden. And I'll never forget, just a couple months ago, I was just like, all right, God, I can't carry this no more. You got to take it. Because I'm singing goodness of God, and I'm still like, all right, God, I know you good, but this is difficult. This is hard, but he's still good. But I was still carrying that. And I remember saying, all right. And he was like, I got you. And so now I'm in a place where it's like, I got to release some things. I've been, like you said, in that place where I've had to write authentic songs that are authentic to me. And even now, songs that I might have penned years ago, now going back into it and listening to all of those voice notes that I got, and I'm even going back to them, and I'm like, man, this really speaks to me, and I know it's for someone. And it might even not be for someone. It might just be for me to even put it out, just to be obedient. So I think that's where I am. I'm just, I'm leaning and trusting in God. I'm not worried about how people are going to receive what I have, because this is what I got, and this is the best that I got, and it's to Him. And if y'all get with it, y'all get with it. If you don't, hey, I know He's smiling at me because I'm obedient to it. So
I love that you tied this all together, because one of the things that I struggle with when I watch you or Kenny is, because you're really good, the audience or the congregation takes it as performative and not as worship. Mm-hmm. And they don't always consider that you may not be feeling that song at the moment. Like, and it's kind of just like, I want to hear goodness of God. Okay, Larry, just turn it on. And how difficult that can be in your season. So I love your heart and your transparency and your ability to share that. So thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you. Love you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank y'all.
The Young Foundation is a nonprofit organization whose mission and vision statement is to support first responders and their families as it relates to mental health awareness, suicide prevention, and suicide awareness. We would love for your support to continue to do the work, not only within the first responder community, but throughout the world, as we remove the stigma of mental health awareness and suicide prevention.